evening and welcome to our second webinar in the Ayurveda Biology series. My name is Megha. I am an associate professor at the Center for Ayurveda Biology and Holistic Nutrition. And joining me today are Dr. Vishnu Prasad, another coordinator of our MSc Life Sciences Ayurveda Biology program, and our eminent guest, Dr. DBA Narayanan. Today's audience comprises of about 60% of you who have come from an Ayurveda background, and about 30% that come from a biology background. We hope that this conversation will help you understand a little bit more about Ayurveda biology and the possibilities therein. We would like to start this webinar with a brief introduction of why we are holding this series, followed by an introduction of our guest, and then Q&A. We have a couple of questions for Dr. Narayanan already, and we also welcome questions from our audience. To begin with the intent of our webinar, we are a small private state university, the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology. To a lot of people, the word transdisciplinary might not make sense immediately, but this word has a breadth of meaning. And with that, we wish to capture the fact that not everything in a textbook is knowledge. Knowledge is all around us, and knowledge seekers come from many, many different areas. And therefore, you can take the same dietetic advice from a nutritionist as you can from an Ayurveda Vaidya. They are both knowledge seekers and they both have knowledges, but they just come in different formats. Our university is located in Bangalore, and we have a very unusual genesis. We came from an NGO called the Foundation for the Revitalization of Local Health Traditions. We have a strong belief that communities, people of all sorts, whether you have a PhD or not, are knowledge bearers, and these systems need to be documented and, of course, studied. The second unique factor about our university, unlike a typical university with several departments that are quite generic, chemistry, biology, humanities, psychology, we are actually a very small university, and we have a niche in certain subjects such as ethno-veterinary practices, ethnobotany, conservation, medicinal plants, manuscripts, and the department that I'm in, which is the investigation of medicinal plants in terms of their biological effects. And so we occupy a very different niche in the university landscape. And we decided to combine our strengths to offer a program called the MSc Life Sciences Ayurveda Biology program, where we wanted to bring in people from different disciplines: Ayurveda, yoga, Unani, biotechnology, molecular biology, genetics, biochemistry, organic chemistry, because we feel that it is only by the collaboration between all of these individuals with different perspectives can we strengthen not only our traditional medicine system, but also investigate it, understand it, and integrate it with medical practices today. Also, we think that this offers a brilliant chance for us to discover some new biology. And like Dr. Valyathan said in our first seminar, the idea behind Ayurveda biology is not to validate Ayurveda, but for us all to grow in different ways as knowledge seekers. For this series, we have invited us physicians as well as scientists who have dabbled in Ayurveda biology, but they would not have called this field as Ayurveda biology, because as they went about in their careers, they followed their calling and did things that they thought were beneficial for their science and for humanity. And today we are naming this discipline Ayurveda biology. With that, I will introduce our guest speaker for today. DBA Narayana is a pharmaceutical scientist, and he's a veteran with over 40 years of experience in research and development. He has a very interesting track record. He has dabbled both in the pharmaceutical as well as food industry, and he has led the R&D divisions of several companies working on both botanicals as well as Ayurvedic products. He's also one of those individuals who strongly feels the need for regulation. And in addition to his contributions to product development, he's also emphasized on the development of standards, both for Indian Pharmacopoeia, insisting on the monograph development for botanicals and IP, as well as phytopharmaceutical and nutraceutical regulations. He's in fact authoring finalizing in Ayurveda Ahara regulation, which I'd also be very keen to know more about. Dr. Narayana's work has been in demonstration of reverse pharmacology approach, and he's used that for several commercial products which have been successful, and we will ask him today to talk about how that came about. He also currently chairs committees in the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission as well as the FSSAI. With that, I will request Dr. Narayana to share his perspective with us about Ayurveda biology in the context of his remarkable career.
Thank you very much. Matrubhyo namah, Gurubhyo namah, Acharyabhyo namah, Sarvadevatabhyo namah. To all the, I think there is some echo.
Dr. Megha, maybe your mic can be turned off because I am getting echo.
Okay. So, to all the participants and delegates who are present here, today, as Megha has said, the discussion in this webinar will be in some parts. The first part, I would like to give my perspective and experiences in very simple way, without showing complicated PowerPoints and data and all that. Data will be available in literature and knowledge is available. So today I will focus on these two words of Ayurveda and biology. Megha expects that I would cover Ayurvedic understanding of biology in terms of modern pharmacology. To some extent, I will talk on that. But more importantly, I will try to show with some examples how a pharmaceutical scientist looked at, tried to understand and explore and come up with some sort of conclusions or knowledge about the Ayurveda, the way it is used through recipes and dravyas. Principally, this word Ayurveda has Ashtanga, 8 branches, but the most important thing for me as a pharmaceutical scientist are 3 branches which are very, very important. One is the Agata Tantra, that is about the safety of all these recipes and ingredients and dravyas that go into these recipes. And then the Bheshaja Kalpana, that is the pharmaceutics or pharmaceutical chemistry or whatever you want to call it, that part. And most fascinating part, a lot of studies which we have done with various teams and myself with some leadership position, is the Rasayana chapter and contribution. I consider the Rasayana concept and the therapies and the recipes as one of the greatest contribution that Ayurveda would have given. Primarily, I am a firm believer in the last 30 years or 40 years of usage of Ayurveda, perhaps driven by the commercial interests and marketing aspects, it got diverted to getting focused only on the medicine part of Ayurveda. Unfortunately, there are several participants. Dr. Katyar is sitting in this webinar. We used to discuss the fundamentals of Ayurveda for a long time, and I have learned a lot from many of the Vaidyas and researchers. The aim of Ayurveda is not medicine. It was to help a healthy person maintain their health. And therefore, that part of health maintenance is the first part of biology that is the aim of Ayurveda. And how did it do? Even after giving a huge amount of guidelines, if people don't follow and they do mistakes, then they will get sick, and then the dravya or the drug part comes in. And after maybe 20, 25 years of studies and understanding and huge examples, it is not the dravya alone that is responsible for usage. In Ayurveda, the usage of the dravya or the recipe or formulations, they, on one side, the dose, etc., are prescribed as a drug, and the same dravya can be used as a food ingredient or through food to maintain the health and keep up the healthy aspects and make that person feel good and feel better and perform better their day-to-day lives. And also, one end of it could be applying it on their skin and body to even give you a cosmetics kind of a beauty or saundarya prasadam. So the dravya does not change. The dravya is the same, and the way it is used makes a difference in the end biology. So that is one of the things that has been understood, or I have learned over various years of working. And in order to get this dravya to do what the biological activities are expected to be given out of its administration or usage, the whole process of Ayurveda describes a very big paradigm, starting from the dose of the material, the process in which it has to be formulated, the way it is to be consumed, the duration of usage, and how many times in a day, whether you can divide the doses, etc., who should consume it, who should not consume it, and the whole 9 yards are described in these texts, and very well documented. And therefore, it is important to understand this from a pharmaceutical or chemistry point of view, because primarily it is known that it is the chemical compounds and chemical structures or materials that are present. And so therefore, if we take a couple of examples and look at it, normally if a dravya is taken, it is described in terms of botanicals, the name of the plant, and its description is given. Then the part of the plant to be used is given, and many times it is very clearly written which part should not be used, because it will not give you that biology, or it may be even toxic. And then next goes is the matra or the dose, and then the process. The biological directions for usage, I will not discuss it today. There also, I have gone through a lot of learning. So therefore, the plant is very important. The authentic plant, the correct identity of the plant is important. The part of the plant is important. I will not deal with today season and variation, collection time, and etc. etc. That is another talk maybe. And the dose. Here, it is very important to recognize the word dose is different from the word dose that is used for synthetic drugs or pharmaceuticals. In case of pharmaceuticals, it is to some extent, in my opinion, limited description of posological considerations, and that is derived out of phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3 trials. And then they decide what is the dose to be given, where the risk versus benefit is taken care, and an approval is given to go to the market. And normally, 2 levels or 3 levels of that strength products are available. It could be 2 milligram, 5 milligram, and 10 milligram. And that's it. So the physician has to prescribe either a 2 milligram of that drug or 5 milligram or 10 milligram. We cannot do anything other than that. And at that time, all of you would appreciate the physicians are told as per guidelines and as per approvals or marketing authorization given by regulatory authorities that they cannot go to other doses. That will be an illegal kind of a thing. Whereas in the case of Ayurveda, the word dose, if we just use a very transliterated Sanskrit word called Matra, Matra is so difficult to explain. And one element of Matra which I have tried to understand is the dose of the same dravya is not standard. It would be based on the examination of the patient, Ashtavida or Dashavida Pariksha, and then most importantly, the Balya, the current status of the ill health of that individual or health of that individual, and the Prakriti are taken care. And depending on that, the physician would vary the Matra. So if it doesn't mean that if some of the Pharmacopoeia or some of these books of Dravya Guna say 1 gram is the dose, 1 gram is perhaps the maximum dose that a physician can keep in mind, but based on the digestion ability, weakness of the patient, strength of the patient, the condition of the patient, the Matra will vary. So this is very, very important for a pharmaceutical scientist. So many products in the market assume whatever is given in the grantha and then they start trying to formulate a product without giving flexibility for the physician to use that product. So then those products generally don't succeed very well. So the biology would vary. Why do I make this statement? In the next couple of minutes you will know about it. And therefore, a dravya could be a drug, could be a food, or could be a cosmetics. And it took me a long time to challenge research-minded Ayurveda people to dig deep. I also dug deep into many granthas. I know a little bit of Sanskrit, maybe I'm not the best expert, but I've worked with a large number. Today, I am quite clear in my mind that if a dose is prescribed in any of the grantha for the dravya, it also gives guidelines that if you want to use it for maintenance of health, how do you compute that dose in a general way? And that is, there are guidelines called Praksheva. Praksheva means you are only sprinkling small quantity of that dravya in a powdered or a poured or processed form, and that itself is adequate to take daily in small quantities to maintain your health and give you the biological benefits that are required. Approximately, one wants to a formula to use this. It varies anywhere from 8% to 15% of the dose of that particular dravya when used as a medicine. So you don't use something analogy. Similarly, if you want, your nutrition is one of the subject Megha says. So in nutrition, you have got RDAs, recommended dietary allowance or daily allowance. It says this is the maximum that you should consume. You may get that from all parts of your food and everything. And wherever there is a deficiency, you take a supplement, you take a nutraceutical, you take a vitamin preparation only to meet the deficiency. So similarly, if I use the dose something like a RDA, 8 to 15% of that is all that is required to maintain health. What about marginal problems and not serious diseases? Seasonal variation, you start having a running nose. It's not really a serious, it is an allergic reaction caused by the seasonal variation. Do you need to take the dravya at a drug dose? A lower dose can perhaps be useful. So if, for example, if you want to use pepper in that condition, pepper is well known for immunity and also known for providing you anti-allergic and other properties. Is there a guideline in that? It took me much more effort and a few Ayurveda experts dug deep. There is no direct guideline, as far as I have understood, related to this, but there is an indirect guideline in the chapters that describe nasya preparations, that is the nasally administered preparation. So there it is very clearly said that if you want to maintain your chest and brain functions and not get sick and maintain good health, because nasahi shiraso dwaram, anything that you put through the nose is what goes to the brain, and anything that you want to treat a brain disorder, you have to use a nasal preparation. You can use a nasal preparation either as a drug when there is serious problem, but I am not having serious problem, I want to prevent it or I want to treat mild problems. Then the guidelines there given is pratimarsha narsya. That means half the dose of the drug is adequate. So 40 to 50% of the dose of that nasya is good enough for daily administration once or twice to maintain the health and clean the nostric, this one, and all the cavities here, nasal cavities, and also for brain functions. So now can you imagine for a pharmaceutical scientist how this Ayurvedic biology is dependent not just on the dravya, but a number of other factors. And this is very, very important to understand, explore. I would try to give you a few examples of how the process used or processes described in the Grantha, looking at from a pharmaceutical scientist point of view, gives you a different biological activity. Couple of examples, very simple day-to-day examples enshrined in Ayurveda, I will give. And the processes are broadly classifiable as what is called a Shodhana process or purificatory processes or modification processes, where the chemistry of the dravya is changed. And therefore, you either deal with potentiating or you deal with removing toxicities. That is one route. The other route is to alter the biological end benefit itself. The processing makes it different benefits are given, different biology it gives. So first example, which is in the purification or Shodhana step, all of you have heard of this fruit called marker nut, bhallatak, Chemicarpus anacardium, very interesting, very useful dravya in Ayurveda. But it is so difficult that if you touch that fruit, you will get severe allergy and there can be anaphylactic shock also in some cases. But how do you remove these toxicities and still use that bhallatak fruit? You can eat that fruit after this process like any other fruit and you can get some benefit. You can process it differently to give various kinds of medicinal and other food benefits. So the simple step, that there are many steps. One of the process described is you just crush this balatak and then put a little water and take brick powder, the construction of the house, brick powder, that is sand, and put that enough quantity and then make it into a small balls and keep it overnight. That's all. Next day, you recrush it and put it in larger quantity of water and strain. All the brick particles will remain on the filter and you get the filtrate, or the fruit pieces you separate, and now it is free. You can touch it, you can eat it, you can do anything and it won't give you any allergy, no anaphylactic shock. There are a number of papers published on this. I was very interested to find out what is this process doing. And I had said to some people, why don't you do some chemistry? Because I don't have all these facilities all the time and now I am a retired person. All that it does, I hypothesized that it must be just absorbing some allergic material from this fruit, and that brick powder absorbs it, and when you clean it, you get rid of that. So there is a paper in Current Science, go and look at it. They have proven that the brick powder absorbs a fixed oil present in this fruit And once that fixed oil is removed, the fruit is very, very safe and gives you all the biological activity that you are looking for. A very simple physical adsorption technology is used. Of course, there is another process of boiling it with the milk, and that is a different, and that is again a good work if somebody wants to take it up. Next example, I want to give turmeric. All of us use turmeric. In India, it is called a Mangala Dravya. From womb to tomb, it is used. And why did it get this kind of a status in Ayurveda? And today, I think there are more than 2,000 papers on turmeric exploring the biology and chemistry. Even our own Indian leading herbal extract manufacturer, Sami Labs, have last year published a book on curcuma and its derivatives and a number of chemistry compounds. Very, very interesting material for a person like me. And one example, I want to give you 2-3 examples. We use turmeric and it is applied on the cheek of the ladies. And people are also given a bath with turmeric water. Why? Powerful antibacterial. It cleans up the whole skin and it has got wound healing property, minor injuries, everything removed. All you need is a very small quantity of water soluble turmeric material in that water. If you want a little higher quantity, traditionally it should be in acidic medium. So you put a little bit of lemon juice or tamarind juice and prepare this water. You know, Mangala Snana, they give on all the auspicious day turmeric and tamarind. So the acid pH is very important to increase the solubility of turmeric and create a complex with tartaric acid in the turmeric. I'm sorry, in the tamarind, and that complex is safe and very, very effective as an antibacterial and skin protectant. It also works to remove hair growth. No lady would like to have a mustache or a beard, so you apply this turmeric water or a little paste every day, there will be a depilatory action. And turmeric is one of the toughest thing to formulate for a pharmacist like me because it is water insoluble. Whatever turmeric you make, whatever tablet you put 250 milligram, 500 milligram, hardly 10 or 50 milligram is what goes into the body. And then it coats the whole intestine yellow in color. And that coating is very, very important. And that slowly makes the important polysaccharides that are present in turmeric pick up a complex with the curcumin and small amount of that go into the body, and that is good enough to give you anti-inflammatory, anti-infective, immunity and all other properties. And the last example I want to give you of turmeric is now proven that when it reaches the brain, it coats that specific receptor which is responsible for dementia and Alzheimer's. And that coating is important to prevent early dementia and early Alzheimer's happening. At receptor level, this has been proven. You can go back and search literature. So insoluble turmeric compound, how does it go to brain? Blood-brain barrier is a very, very difficult thing to do. So simple, boil it with milk and drink every day, Baba. Put that turmeric pinch, half a spoon in milk. Milk is a powerful emulsifier. It has got water component, it has got fat component. If you take cow's milk, maybe about 17-18%. If you take buffalo's milk, maybe of going up to 28%. And most important, at the emulsion, there are huge amount of phospholipids. And these phospholipids convert curcumin into a micellar form and emulsify. Part of it goes into the fatty portion. So the fat is there. So the blood-brain barrier, it crosses the fat and the micelle carries to the brain. So if you look at the incidence of Alzheimer's today, a simple preparation, कोई बहुत costly supplement नहीं चाहिए. Daily half a glass of hot milk, half a spoon or a pinch of haldi, take it every day in the night. And when you are sleeping, your brain is less active and the curcumin goes there and coats the necessary amygdala or whatever receptors are there, and keeps you young and fit and with lots of learning and ability to memorize and recall. Next example, simple Jera. All of us take Jera in our house. You boil Jera for quite some time and prepare a concentrated water solution. A small amount of the essential oil goes into solution, and a little bit of water soluble material goes into. You drink that Jera, it improves your digestion, and this essential oil components in Jera is responsible for fat metabolism, and therefore it's a powerful material that one can consume to maintain their weight. And also for those people who are obese or high BMI, start consuming simple Jera water every day. You will get reasonably good loss of weight. So the biology at the end of it is that the same Jera you fry with little ghee and add a little bit Jaggery and make it into small balls and give it to a lady who has just given birth to a baby. It increases prolactin levels in the lady, and she can provide improved lactation, and therefore she will be able to feed the baby with much more of her own human milk. Simple thing. Look at the process. One was just boiling with water. The other is there is a fat medium and a bit of good. That is Jaggery. Why Jaggery? People may think it is only because to make it sweet. Jera may not be very spicy. No. Jaggery consists of certain specific sugars which are responsible for Yogavahi, bioavailability increase of this ingredient from Jera, which will go to brain and stimulate and improve the prolactin levels, and therefore it works like that. So look at same ingredient when used as a drug, very high levels. When used as a distillate arca, different purpose. It can be a digestive carminative, and also it can be a galactagogue, promotion of lactation in women. Next example, very fond of quoting this example because there is huge changes. Simple our methi, fenugreek. Fenugreek, I would say, is an excellent ingredient from Ayurveda or knowledge. Methi seeds, if you roast it in a kadai and powder it and take, it provides trigonelline in much higher levels and certain other compounds of trigonelline-like compounds, and they give powerful anti-diabetic activity. Normal methi as such you take, it may not work as a good anti-diabetic property, but only when you roast it and take, it improves. But the same methi, you soak it in water overnight, and in the morning drink that water and eat that swollen methi seeds. It doesn't give you any anti-diabetic activity, but it is hypolipidemic. And more importantly, this provides ability to excrete triglycerides, which Indians are unable to excrete. We have a genetic disposition. Indians are very difficult to excrete triglycerides through the fecus, and triglycerides level in the body going high actually causes a lot of heart problems and several other issues. So soaked methi seeds, why does it work like that? Because when you soak it in water, the prebiotics in the methi come out, the fibers get swollen, and the inulin gets concentrated. It converts to inulin. So therefore, there is a different biology. Next one, you take the same methi seeds, just make it wet, put it in coconut oil, or put it in along with grated coconut, convert it into a paste and apply it onto your scalp. It will reduce your hair fall, and it will also provide you an excellent anti-dandruff activity. The process is different and the biology is different. And more importantly, or equally important, just put some methi seeds in curds, yogurt, allow it to swell for half an hour, and then drink that whole thing. It's a powerful antidiarrheal. How does it work like antidiarrheal? You are combining this prebiotic activity of methi along with probiotics present in the curds, and those good bacteria in the curds kill the bad bacteria causing diarrhea, and this methi seeds with inulin and prebiotics promote colonization, and therefore it works like a, I can go on giving you maybe a dozen examples of methi, but I will stop here. And lastly, one other insight of shunti. Shunti, ginger, such a powerful ingredient in Ayurveda, starting from treatment to arthritis, osteoarthritis. It can do wonders on a number of things. And it can simply, a fresh piece of ginger is a powerful anti-emetic. It can reduce nausea, it can reduce vomiting, simple. But the important thing in the chemistry of ginger is it consists of two large group of compounds, one called as gingerols, 6 gingerol, 8 gingerol, and so many are there. And the other group of compounds called shagols. Depending on the way it is processed, gingerols will be stable or it will get converted to shagols, in which case there would be toxicity and lesser biological activity. 2 grams of dried ginger, 1 to 2 grams of dried ginger every day taken after food shows powerful osteoarthritis benefits, powerful anti-inflammatory. But a small quantity of fresh ginger or ginger juice gives you other biological activities. And why do we cut fresh ginger and put it in a lime juice and keep? Because the pH of that lime juice, which is acidic, stabilizes gingerols and does not allow shagols to form. And therefore, the safety is taken care. So I will end it here on the Ayurveda part, a link to biology, where those part of the plant and more importantly, the process is important. So if any one of you in your career later get interested in developing products, don't just take the part of the plant given in the book. Go a little bit deeper and study what are the benefits that you are trying to intend to give from that product, and accordingly study the processes that are described in the text and try to be as close as possible to that process. You would get a successful product. I will end this first part here and open for any questions.
Thank you, sir. I think we'll all look at our shunti, methi, and turmeric a lot more carefully. And I think you very nicely illustrated how biology, you can study new biology just from looking at old ways of doing things. The fact that you can use the same product as a drug depending on the saturation curve. At high doses, a drug, low doses, stimulant. And the fact that you can change its properties using various karana or processes, milk or ghee, roasting versus water, and get different effects. And I think this is exactly the kind of space that our students would like to be in. So we had 3 questions for you, and mostly we wanted you to inspire our students with some stories and anecdotes and your impressions from your long career. First off the bat, I think for a lot of people, the students, the issue is, what will I do after a degree, in life sciences and with Ayurveda biology? And in that particular niche, we'd like you to discuss what are the sort of qualities you looked for and the background you looked for when you were trying to hire fresh graduates in the teams that you were building in various setups.
Very interesting and very important question. And to the students who have joined this new course, I would only like to say, don't be afraid. A huge career will be awaiting you, depending on what you want to do. So during this course, based on the graduation that you have done, whatever, and in this master's degree, look at yourself internally and see what is that portion of this Ayurveda biology that interests you. Somebody might get interested in the way I described, to look at the dravya and dose and process and chemistry, quality and all that. Then a food company or a pharmaceutical company or an Ayurvedic drug manufacturer would be a place to for you to look at, to become a product development person. And there, some of us, including Dr. Katiyar and several of us, have worked for 7, 8 years, 10 years in the regulatory area. And today we have the supplements and nutraceutical regulation, which is trying to has given recognition to the preventive, protective, and maintenance part of Ayurveda. And therefore, there is a schedule in the nutraceutical regulation. I would recommend you to go to Google and download nutraceutical and functional foods regulation. It has been notified very recently, a modified, amended version. And there is a schedule called Schedule 4, which lists around 430 botanicals with strong and long history of usage or safe usage known from Ayurveda. And these botanicals and their extracts can be used to make various maintenance, health maintenance of these products. And very soon, maybe in 2, 3 months' time, a final notification of a new regulation will come, which is called Ayurveda Ahara. And that is again an area where you could work to develop the recipes which are more food route and food description to maintain health or treat small ailments. And there again, whatever technological things that you learn, suppose one of you become very interested in the technology portion, scale up technology of food production or extract production, you will be able to contribute in manufacture at commercial levels of some of these foods, or a food base into which some of the botanicals known in Ayurveda for specific benefits, maybe just like turmeric or Jera or Methi or anyone, you add at right proportion, right level, modify the taste, deliver the goodness, ensure it is present. So you can be a part in the food firms as well as the pharmaceutical or Ayurvedic firms. That's the second part. Third part could be, you could be focused, no, I am not a technologist, I'm not interested in working in that area. So you could look at the biology part, and more importantly, the pharmacology, safety assessment of these products, and biology, meaning generating evidence, confirmation of the proof of concept for these products, whether the health benefit is being. So you could look at how to design a human study or a study in animals and generate data on that. So the canvas is wide open, and within the technology or the factories or manufacture areas, one can be in quality assurance area, production area, R&D area, analytical to look at stability studies, develop monographs, develop tests that can confirm contaminate free for these products. So there is a huge area. And you can also be a self-entrepreneur. You can take up a couple of products and work with some research labs in the country, and then manufacture, put up your own facility. Or you can also get into the marketing area if you have an inclination and learn how to communicate about these products to consumers. So the area is quite vast, and I would say sky is available. You decide where you want to play the game.
Okay. And then how would you, say a student or somebody who's interested in this should present themselves? What sort of skills should they have?
Yeah, interesting question. Today, I would say two words are very, very important. One is competency and the second is skills. And when I say the word competency, competency has two parts. One is the domain knowledge, and the second is how do you convert that domain knowledge into something actionable. So for the second part, you will have to have skills. For the first part, Megha and the whole faculty and whoever is going to address all the webinars, keep learning, increase your domain knowledge, and don't be superficial. Some areas, keep your eyes, ears, and brain open and mouth shut, and keep learning, and in some areas get into depth. Some teacher may not teach you the depth. Go and sit at the feet of anybody who can teach you that. Anybody from the society, from some other college, some other scientist, some other retired person, go and talk, ask questions, and try to get into depth. That will give you competency. And how do you evaluate your own competency? I'll give you a very simple formula. Competency has 4 steps: basic awareness, working knowledge, fully operational, and leading edge. Basic awareness, I just know यार ठीक है आयुर्वेदा है कुछ होता है ये भाई, awareness. Working knowledge, yeah, I can read Sanskrit words, I can read Chavanpraj formula, and I can read the process. Maybe I'll try to able to make it operational. Somebody has to guide you where the material will be available, where you have to get that, how to use, how to heat it, not heat it over, it should not get charred. Somebody has to supervise you. Next is fully operational. Megha gives you a project, Vishnu gives you a project, you will not go back to Megha once more. You will do everything yourself and go with some data. Megha, here is my data, this is how I have interpreted the project, and Megha will give you some inputs. You are fully operational, you don't need any supervision. Next level is difficult to achieve, but try that. Leading edge. You will go and tell Megha, I want to do this project. Not Megha will not give you a project. Because in this Ayurveda biology, today DBA said this, I am getting interested, I want to work on Curcumin and see what chemistry changes happen. Or what happens when I fry ginger in ghee. What chemistry changes? Let me determine whether the 8 gingerol goes down or 6 gingerol goes up or shagol is formed or not formed. You want to study, analyze. That's leading edge. You will lead the whole group, you will lead the team. Skills. One of the important 2 skills you must try to pick up during your course. And the third skill you should pick up constantly in your life. First skill is scientific papers, information, reading, understanding, interpreting, and scientific writing skill. This nobody teaches you. You have to learn on your own. Maybe some broad guidelines your faculty in TDU can give, somebody else can give. And the best way to learn is, unfortunately, English is not our mother tongue. So we are very poor in writing good English. And so keep reading editorials written in newspapers every day. What can be written by you in 5,000 words, editorial will write in 600 words. And keep that as your target. Can I write in a very simple, crisp way, but yet not leave out? And most of you in your career, if you are going to apply for PhD abroad or any other project or funding, they will ask you your purpose document. They will want 1,000 words. They want to tell you, they want you to tell what you want to do in PhD or in that project. To write in 1,000 words is not very, very easy. So scientific writing skills are very important. And secondly, when you read published papers, don't look at conclusion first. Look at introduction, look at methods, look at what data has been provided. Most often, research papers write conclusion what the author wants to say. It is not what the data is showing. Most often this is true. data they have generated because they want that paper to be published. And that may not be what the data is saying. So learn statistics skills, learn data analyzing, read methodology, appropriate methods for using for any study. That's the first skill you must. And the second skill to make you successful in your course and in whole of life is people skills. Learn to work as a team member. Today in this world, one person alone cannot do anything. Of course, they can be a leader, they can lead, but you need a group to work with, and cross-functional team approach is very, very important. And keep learning that people skills in your own college, in your university, and be a team member. Recognize contribution given by others, and you also contribute. So then, these are very, very important to make you successful, whether in TDU or even after you have successfully graduated and gone into a firm or you started your own firm.
There are two questions from the audience, and I'll ask one that's on the Q&A from Aman. And he's asking, how we see Ayurveda in terms of from an industry perspective or like business perspective. And I can add to that, Aman is our student and he's very keen to become an entrepreneur. So he is trying to understand how this can be leveraged.
See, as I said at the beginning of my talk, unfortunately, Ayurveda got projected more like a medicine. But several of us have worked for last 10 years, and the Foods Authority have recognized the role of preventive, protective, and mild diseases to be treated through supplement route. So the food route is going to become the future of Ayurveda in addition to the medicine routes. So there is this new regulation, Ayurveda Ahar will also open up. So in my opinion, the world is moving away from illness centric to wellness centric. So nobody is interested to go to a doctor, stand in queue, get 100 diagnostic tests done, and nobody explains you the results of those tests, and they just start prescribing some medicines and operation and all that huge waste. People want to take care of their health themselves now. They want to take care of diet and behavior and all that. And there, Ayurveda, personally, I feel is going to drive. And secondly, marketing is the toughest thing to do of any product that you produce. But today, that is not true. 10 years ago, the verticals or the routes to go to market and reach consumers was only one. And that is blessed by the physician or doctor, ethical marketing, and a little bit of advertised FMCG product. But today, huge number of routes are available. Apart from e-commerce, online sale, direct selling, person to person, and so many other hybrid models are available. You no longer have to go and have a medical rep and huge team of marketing people. You can virtually do a lot of marketing without having a force. All the force that you may need would be only the sales people who will make the goods go and reach that end consumer who is buying it. And direct selling industry, which started in a bad way, bad name in US, is now getting a respectability, and even unqualified SSLC pale also becomes a distributor in Herbalife or any of such companies who are involved in providing healthcare products and personal care. So if you use Ayurveda inspired products, make a good quality product, communicate very effectively, and use number of channels are available. And I think again here is sky is reachable, huge. And I know startups, I have guided maybe a dozen startup in the last 5 years, and some of them are now 5 crore, 6 crore business. So, but you'll have to do a little bit of hard work for 2 years. And once you establish, rest is then fine. And nobody has tapped the venture capital market from the food supplement and Ayurveda area. Only one example recently came up. What is that? Cosmetics Nika, who got a lot of money. One lady has. So there are many success stories coming out. India is a startup culture. You can join an organized sector or you can have your own. And even backward integration of cultivation of medicinal plants could be a good area for you to look at if you are interested in that part. Now today technology of vertical cultivation and hydroponics are catching up, so you don't need 100-acre land to cultivate and sell ashwagandha or something. A small piece of land, you can cultivate some of those things vertically, and good quality you can provide. So don't be worried. As I said, search your spirits inside the heart. What is it that excites me in this whole Ayurveda biology? And let me learn a lot. And then one area you pick up and you can build a career.
I know we've taken up your time. We'll take one last question, and I'll ask this person to talk, and that's Pankaj. Go ahead, Pankaj.
I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Sir, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Actually, sir, I'm Dr. Pankaj, recent PhD graduate. I have certain questions, specific questions, sir. As you are involved in FSSAI and Indian Pharmacopoeia, yeah, like I have a brief knowledge. Sir, I have certain questions regarding Indian Pharmacopoeia first.
Yeah.
Is there, sir, Indian Pharmacopoeia mostly is related to chemistry, phytochemistry, as you said. And there is another parameter which is AOAC. Is there a need for Ayurvedic product to integrate these both things and then go for branding and all?
See, the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is an official part of Ministry of Health. Indian Pharmacopoeia is a regulatory standards to be prescribed for a large number of materials used as drugs or partly in foods. So there is one section some of us have worked very hard in the last 7-8 years, and that is a section called herbs, processed herbs and herbal products. And there we have tried to provide objectively accessible quality standards for raw herbs or extracts and processed herbs. And in case some of the products are approved as a drug under a Drugs and Cosmetics Act and not as an Ayurvedic medicine, the standards are given. So if at all anybody wants to formulate a product using these raw herbs or extracts, they can adopt Indian pharmacopoeial standards as quality standards. That's it. There is no other thing. Even if you are wanting to put that herb in a food product, you want to use a best quality material, use IP grade material. That's all it says. Beyond that, pharmacopoeia doesn't do anything. You talked about AOAC. AOAC is a book which provides analytical methods for a large number of food ingredients, colors, additives, and standard foods and food ingredients, and all that. And these also provide standards. And in fact, in the Nutra regulation, flexibility has been given to anybody who uses botanical listed in that regulation to drop their own quality standards. So it can be IP, it can be Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia standard, it can be FAO, it can be AOAC, it can be BIS, depending on, and you have to decide which standard you will follow and inform the authority. That's it. Have I answered your question?
Sir, you have answered the question properly. I have one more question, sir.
Yeah.
Like now is the time for personalized medicine and personalized nutrition. So where do you see Ayurveda after 5 years? Does these two concepts of personalized medicine and personalized nutrition come to existence? This is from entrepreneurship like angle, sir.
Okay. See, in Ayurveda, what has been taught to me is there are many recipes and dravyas which are called as Samanya Dravya or Samanya Aushadhi. So those products can be given to anybody. It can be given to a Vata guy, a Pitta guy, or a Kapha guy, depending on whatever it is. It can be given to Tridosha, Dosha, Dvidosha, any person. But there are certain things which are to be given to people who have specific doshic, either lower dosha or the higher levels, and they are more personalized medicines. So if you want to industrially exploit it, my recommendation would be to play in the game of Samanya products, because then you can reach any customer. Otherwise you would be very, very niche. Yes, you can pay a niche claim and keep very high prices, but then you'll have to ensure that how do you identify, how does a consumer identify this product is meant for me? They won't know how to do Prakriti analysis. They might do some half-hearted approach based on online forms filling and all, but that may not be a good approach. So that's one thing. Secondly, huge amount of work is going on in what is called as metabolomics. Today, there are Indian companies who have just started about 2 years ago. They take a drop of blood from the consumer and put it through a screen, and they get some 160 things result as a result of that study. And based on that, they have developed a software, and that will point out what are the deficiencies in that study that they have done. And then they will say, I will give you a personalized nutrition for you. And in that, it can consist of herbs, it can consist of minerals, it can consist of vitamins, it can consist of amino acids. They are making a concoction. So this, how successful it is, I don't know, but people are trying. But again, question at the end of the day is, are you able to convince your consumer that this is the best thing for me and I will pay a higher amount, or I will go through all these troubles of getting blood tested and understanding and taking only that particular thing? They might keep 10 diet restrictions. Compliance is very poor in our country. A doctor tells you to do so many things, but you will do not, most of them you won't do. And forgetfulness of even taking those products is very high. So therefore you can decide. But the area is growing. Many people are talking of. They put a drop of blood and do a gene analysis also. And then they try to give you a specific nutrition. In that nutrition, I am considering plants known in Ayurveda at the food dose level, Praksheva or Pratimarshya levels for maintenance. If you can come up with that composition of what herb can be given to this kind of problem guy, you have a winning formula there.
So, sir, I because of time, I shut
Yes,
the. It's quite long,
and
and I know it's
answer
past.
your question?
I think you did, definitely. And we'll close now. Thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to participants coming back for our next speaker, Vaidya Ram Manohar, who is from Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences. Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.